Hello, everybody. We are back at the plenary session. And firstly, I would ask the Executive President to report back about the outcome of the private session that was held here just before. Please, Ambassador.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Très brièvement, la
Thank you very
session
much,
s'est tenue ce matin.
After the meeting that took place this morning, the Regional Committee investigated the different nominations and proposed to name to the Executive Board Switzerland and Ukraine to the Standing Committee of the Regional Committee, Luxembourg, Greece, Romania, and Ukraine. And for the GCBTDR, Kyrgyzstan, and for the Standing Committee of the EB on Emergencies, France and Denmark. Thank you very much.
Merci, Madame.
Thank you very much.
Et maintenant, on va commencer
Now,
et on va
let us
continuer,
begin,
en fait,
and we're going to continue,
après le débat de hier.
following up on
The
yesterday's
Secretariat
debate.
sent revised proposals for considerations by the delegations. First draft resolutions on SCRC report and the RD report, items 1D and items 2C. A procedural draft resolution on agenda item 5 and the draft resolution on agenda item 7. You have this. And also, okay, just a second. And procedural draft resolution on agenda item 9. Okay? And also revised draft decision 10 on agenda item 10. Yes. As proposed by the EU member states. Now, I'll introduce the item. And for this item, the relevant documents can be seen on the screen. Are they on the screen? Now, the thing is like that. The first resolution was adopted at a special session of the Regional Committee that was convened on May 10th under Rule 5 of the Rules of Procedures of the Regional Committee. The report of the special session of the Regional Committee was circulated electronically for adoption by the member states and is published on the official website. In follow-up, the first briefing given at the third regular session of the 29th ICRC held on June 8 as an open session for all member states in the region. The regional director will update the regional committee on resolution implementation, including communicating the resolution to the World Health Assembly in May, temporarily suspending regional meetings in the Russian Federation, and safeguarding the technical cooperation and assistance provided by the WHO European Office for the prevention and control of non-communicable diseases. So I would like to give the floor now to the Regional Director, Dr. Kluge, to explain the reasons for this agenda item. Please.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Dear delegates, since the resolution Euro RCSS/R1 was adopted on 10 May 2022, As the region director, I have taken several steps for implementation. At the third regular session,
I found this on the web for Hey Siri. I have taken several steps for implementation.
thank you. At the third regular session of the 29th Standing Committee of the Region Committee for Europe, which was open to all member states in the WHO European region, I provided an update on implementation of the resolution. The resolution included 3 action items for the WHO Region Director for Europe. Paragraph 6 invited the Region Director to transmit the resolution to the Director General of WHO. This was immediately completed. Paragraph 5 of the resolution calls upon the Region Director to consider temporarily suspending all regional meetings in the Russian Federation, including technical meetings and meetings of experts, as well as conferences and seminars whose composition is set by the WHO Regional Office for Europe. No such meetings were held in the Russian Federation since 10 May 2022. Paragraph 4 of the resolution requests the Region Director to explore options in consultation with member states of the WHO Regional Committee for Europe to safeguard the technical cooperation and assistance provided by the WHO European Office for the Prevention and Control of Non-Communicable Diseases, the NCD Office, including the possible relocation of the aforementioned office to an area outside of the Russian Federation. I have taken several initiatives to safeguard the technical work of the NCD Office. As of 27 August 2022, the NCD Office had reached 70% of its annual financial implementation for activities, which is an indication of continued technical work of the Office. The existing current remote modality of work for the NCD Office, international staff working from their home locations, has proven successful in safeguarding delivery over the past months and will now be further enhanced in the near future by having them together as a unit in Copenhagen. The NCD Office continued their technical work with member states through sub-regional approach and bilateral or direct country support. They also organized online events to launch regional products and when regional level engagement was required. Since 10 May 2022, examples for sub-regional approaches are European Union Tobacco Control Meeting in Copenhagen, European Union Physical Activity Focal Point Meeting in Nice, France, Western Balkan Obesity Policy Dialogue in Skopje, North Macedonia, and Central Asian NCD Prevention Policy Dialogue in Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan. One example of a hybrid event is the forum which was organized with young people for a safer WHO European region, free from harm due to alcohol, brought together young people and civil society representatives to share perspectives on alcohol policies. There has been several WHO technical publications and country reports during this period, which shows that the measures I took were adequate to safeguard the technical work of the office. The NCD Office is a strategic investment by WHO Europe to provide technical support to all 53 member states. Overview of the grant from the Russian Federation is provided in the document, which amounts to $26 million for 5 years. 9 out of 11 international staff, all the administrative staff, and running cost of the NCD Office is fully funded by this grant. These staff positions provide the capacity to implement activities across the region in all 53 member states, including the activities of other NCD-related grants. Currently, the staff positions and activity funds provided by the Russian grant is crucial to address non-communicable diseases, which accounts for the largest share of ill health in our region and almost 90% of deaths. Safeguarding the technical work in the area of NCDs is crucial to deliver the European Programme of Work successfully. A further update on the implementation of the resolution Euro/RCSS/R1 will be delivered at the Standing Committee of the Region Committee in December 2022, which will be open to all member states. Thank you, President.
Thank you, Director, the Regional Director, for this comprehensive update. And I will now open the discussion. We will go through the list, the pre-established speakers list. First of all, member states. And I think the first one would be the Czech Republic, representing the entire states of the European Union. Czechia, please.
Honorable Chair, distinguished Regional Director, Excellencies, colleagues, I have the honor of speaking on behalf of the European Union and its member states. It is beyond regretful that we need to begin our statement in a WHO forum with a reassurance that the enjoyment of the highest attainable standard of health is one of the fundamental rights of every human being without distinction and discrimination, and that the health of all peoples is fundamental to the attainment of peace and security. Russia's unprovoked, unjustified and illegal war of aggression against Ukraine, which grossly violates international law and the UN Charter and undermines international security and stability, has continued already more than 6 months. It is causing a serious impediment to the health of the population of Ukraine, including those most in need, and leads to regional and wider than regional health impacts. This requires an exceptional reaction. We condemn in the strongest terms Russia's military aggression against Ukraine. The special session resolution was adopted in May, requests the regional director to explore options in consultation with member states of the regional committee to safeguard the technical cooperation and assistance provided by the WHO European Office for the Prevention and Control of NCDs, including the possible relocation of the aforementioned office to an area outside of Russia. It also calls upon the regional director to consider temporarily suspending all regional meetings in Russia. The EU and its member states appreciate the efforts undertaken by WHO and the regional director for safeguarding the work of the NCD office until now, albeit in challenging conditions. We welcome the measures already taken as summarized in the background document. However, we regret that no options on funding are provided, although the document rightfully mentions the need to diversify funding resources. Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine continues to negatively impact the health situation all over the globe, including in the most vulnerable countries, as well as the work of WHO. Russia's blatant disregard for human life and well-being deems it an untrustworthy partner. EU and its member states therefore call for accelerated implementation of the resolution. We stand ready to take part in a rapidly established, inclusive and transparent consultative process. In order to support this process and inform the discussion, open a CRC session in December. We would appreciate a detailed list of options highlighting, as much as possible, legal, financial, including any potential alternative sources of funding, human resources and other implications for each of the options. Location of the NCD office in Moscow, relocation to Copenhagen, relocation to another country, continuation of the current interim solution described in the document, and other appropriate solutions. Moreover, we expect to receive a concrete timeline for our further discussion. Let us also stress that NCDs constitute a major part of the health burden on the population of our region. Our future deliberations will therefore be led by our common goal to safeguard technical work of the aforementioned office. Excellencies, this spring we put all our efforts into the special session resolution. Let us now be reminded that we must not stop there. Inaction is our doing. Thank you.
Thank you, the Czech Republic. Now we'll move to Israel, and then the Russian Federation and Monaco. Israel, please, Dr. Ashi. And it's an opportunity to thank you, Ashi, my friend, for the tremendous effort you put in the organization of this RC. You've been working on this for, I don't know, some years now, and it's a great success. So it's really my personal thank to you as well. Thank you.
Chair, and my boss. Thank you, Chair. Israel would first like to thank WHO and the teams on the ground for their vital work in extremely challenging circumstances, both in the Ukraine and the neighboring countries. Israel remains concerned over the impact of the Russian invasion on the civilians and that continues to call for all parties to enable safe paths to civilians and ensure rapid and unhindered humanitarian access. The invasion has had a devastating impact at Ukraine's health system and has severely restricted access to medicine, facilities, and health services for the Ukrainian population. Reduced healthcare and medicines due to hostilities are likely to worsen the health status of the Ukrainian population. In addition to this, mental health and psychological needs of the Ukrainian people are being intensified. With the winter fast approaching, it is important for the WHO and member states to support the Ministry of Health of the Ukraine to restore disrupted services, displaced health workers, and destroyed infrastructures. In response to the situation on the ground, Israel had provided hundreds of tons of humanitarian and medical assistance to the people of Ukraine. We have sent also a field hospital to Ukraine, and we have treated thousands of Ukrainian citizens, and we are now admitting cancer patients and casualties for rehabilitation in Israel. We would continue to do all of this, and we can assist the well-being of the health of the Ukrainian people, and we are calling our fellow countries to do the same. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Salmon. Now it's up to the Russian Federation, then Monaco, and then Norway. Russia, please.
Thank you very much, Chairman, distinguished regional director, distinguished colleagues. We thank the regional director for the report that he presented and his high valuing of the geographically dispersed office on NCDs of WHO located in Moscow. The Russian Federation is happy with the work of the office and the conditions which have been created. The office must continue its work and help to support countries with the high burden of NCDs that continues to exist. Reducing its work would, of course, negatively impact and would slow down the general progress that has been made by countries of the entire European region in helping them to reduce the mortality from NCDs. The Russian Federation is prepared in the future to support the work of the geographically dispersed office, which is a part and parcel of the European Regional Office, to ensure that we meet the goals for sustainable development of the region. We'd also like to thank and request the right to reply to the different statements that have been made by different delegations addressing the Russian Federation. I thank you very much for your kind attention.
Okay, your request for reply is noted, and you will get it at the end of the discussion. So now it's Monaco, and then Norway, and then the Ukraine. Monaco, s'il vous plaît.
Monaco, go ahead. I thank you very much, sir. I'm not sure I requested the floor, but thanks for giving it to me. Anyway, I first would like to thank the regional director and his entire team for their report that has just been presented, even bearing in mind the fact that they are extremely busy, and he is extremely busy, impacted by different crises, including the crisis in Ukraine, and of course, consequently, which has an impact on Ukraine's health as well as in other regions of Europe. We would also like to thank the Secretariat for the measures that have been taken since the adoption of the resolution and in response to the requests of member states. We are thinking that, given that the deadlines are relatively short, other measures had to be taken and were taken with regard to the GDO, working on NCDs, and we expect that there will be additional information provided either in a brief or in the Standing Committee of the Regional Committee. We would like to see a planning and a timeline to make sure that that work is actually is successfully completed. And one last point, if I may, since we're talking about the situation in Ukraine, and there was a mention by Israel of the respect of international humanitarian law and the need to preserve health systems, I would like to request an access for health services and a formal interdiction, a ban for targeting health points or health services. With regard to Ukraine, there have been issues with regard to access to health systems, of course, in the entire territory. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Monaco. Now we move on to Norway, and then the Ukraine, and finally the UK. So, Norway, please.
Thank you, Chair, Regional Director, colleagues. Norway would first like to state that we fully aligns us with the statement made by the representative from the Czech Republic on behalf of the European Union. We would, however, like to underline that the challenges that arise from the implementation of the resolution, including the question of relocation of the NCD office, should be sought solved within the existing budgetary framework if no other funding options are presented. Norway is committed to following this process and the discussions ahead in order to help safeguard the NCD agenda in the region. Thank you.
Thank you, Norway, especially for being short, but punctual. Now we move on to the Ukraine, then the UK, and also Belarus that will go via Zoom. So the Ukraine, please.
Thank you, Chair. The delegation of Ukraine would like to thank the regional office for the report of implementation of the resolution of the special session on health emergency in Ukraine, stemming from the Russian aggression. We welcome the measures taken by the regional office to this end and call on it to ensure effective follow-up as the health emergency in my country is further exacerbated by the unprovoked war. As rightfully stressed in the report, the non-communicable diseases are the cause of 19% of premature mortality and a heavy burden of ill health in the region. This mere fact underscores the importance of the NCD office in a strategic tool to tackle NCDs and support the delivery of technical assistance. Logically, the right to host the NCD office is widely viewed as an honor and privilege. The hosting country must have all the credentials for this activity and enjoy trust and respect from all member states of the European region. A brief look at the human cost of the Russian aggression against Ukraine undeniably proves its catastrophic health consequences, particularly in terms of non-communicable diseases. The war has already forced more than 14 million Ukrainians to flee their homes, with 2/3 of Ukrainian children having had to leave their homes for the future of an entry generation is a peril. As a result, more than 16 million Ukrainians who have been exposed to violence and atrocities, displacement and family separation are in need of mental care and psychological support and treatment. The war destructed health infrastructure and life-saving health services, including treatment of chronic conditions. It distorted essential medical supply chains, severely restricted access to medicines and continuity of care. Cardiovascular diseases, one of the leading causes of morbidity and mortality in Ukraine, on the rise. It's worth noting that in March 2022, the European Society of Cardiology has temporarily suspended the membership of the Russian Society of Cardiology and the Belarusian Scientific Society of Cardiologists. The war exacerbated the levels of health risk factors, including smoking and alcohol, used to name but a few. The health emergency provoked by Russia begs the question of whether the aggressor state meet the right standards and criteria for an NCD office hosting country. For us, the answer is oblivious. No, it doesn't. In June this year, Ukraine sent a letter to the WHO regional director expressing its readiness to host the NCD office. We take this opportunity to reiterate our proposal. We would also be ready to discuss other initiatives and ideas in this regard. The delegation of Ukraine calls upon regional director to organize consultations with member states of the WHO Regional Committee for Europe to explore all options as set out by the resolution of its special session in May. I thank you.
Thank you, Ukraine. Now we move forward to the UK and then Belarus. Please.
Thank you, Chair. I'll also be very brief. We welcome the update from the Regional Director. Thank you for that. And welcome the actions that have been taken to date in order to implement the resolution. We fully recognise the importance of WHO Euro's work on non-communicable diseases, and we've just heard an illustration of how important that is from Ukraine here, but across the whole region, including in our own country. I would like to echo the comments made by others, particularly the statement of the European Union. We agree that we need further discussion on options to safeguard the work of the region on non-communicable diseases, including a comprehensive consultation, which includes discussion of relocating the office to another country in the region. And then finally, could I just say, we do appreciate Ukraine's offer to host the office in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, Belarus on via Zoom. Yes. Belarus, are you with us? Go ahead.
Уважаемый господин председатель, доктор Ханс, уважаемый господин региональный директор,
Regional Director Dr. Hans Kluge. The Republic of Belarus greatly respects the WHO and the policies, recommendations, and resolutions at the high level. We are concerned by the tendency towards the politicization of issues in the region. We express solidarity with the position of the Russian Federation. This does not go beyond the mandate of the WHO in this important area. The politicization of medical aspects of an issue only deepens the crisis and prevents us from providing much-needed aid in time. Any crisis or conflict needs to be solved by cooperation between all those involved. Belarus is prepared to work together in such a manner. Thus, Belarus supports all measures and solutions aimed at strengthening the healthcare system in Ukraine and providing aid in this conflict. We support the efforts of the WHO in supporting the Ukraine, which is in a difficult humanitarian situation, both within the country and around it. For myself, we, as a brother nation, wish to help all refugees who have come to Belarus from Ukraine and neighboring areas. And in this work, we are working with UN agencies, including the WHO. Refugees are still coming to Belarus, including via neighboring countries. We note that Russia has constantly been providing aid of various types to member states of
the WHO Euro region and is particularly involved in fighting NCDs. However, we do not understand the position of the WHO and the proposal of moving the NCD office outside the Russian Federation would simply make the crisis more severe. In our view, these proposed measures would not only not help to resolve the situation in Ukraine, but would further weaken the potential for cooperation. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Belarus. Now, I should mention also that the Czech Republic requested also the right of reply on behalf of the European Union states. Now, we have now completed the pre-established speaker list. Are there any other member here who did not yet take the floor and wish to do so? If there are some more requests, there are, who is that? Tajikistan. Tajikistan, please. Yes.
Спасибо большое.
Thank you very much.
Региональный директор.
Regional Director of and the European Office, Dr. Hans Kruger, Chair, colleagues. The Republic of Tajikistan fully acknowledges the need and importance of the functioning of the NCD office. As non-communicable diseases are one of the main causes of 90% of premature death, and we would like to note that we work very closely with the Russian Federation, including on issues of maternal and child deaths, and we fully support the Russian Federation and do not consider that moving the geographically dispersed office out of Russia would be helpful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tajikistan. Any more requests to intervene? No? Okay. So, since there were some comments and questions, I would now ask the regional director to take the floor and to address those comments and questions. Please, Dr. Kluge.
Thank you, Mr. President. As I mentioned during my annual address on Monday, the top priority for us is to provide health for all people, and the top priority is to assist Ukraine. We are very, very concerned. I was telling that more than 1/3 of the population in Ukraine is in dire need of humanitarian assistance according to the United Nations, about 18 million people. And we're very concerned, like many of you were telling, about the winterization. I also want to thank the Minister of Health of Poland, Dr. Adam Niedzielski, who came up to me yesterday evening to really provide extra support once I come back from my 4th mission this year to Ukraine, as I mentioned, the week of 10 October. With my counterpart, Dr. Viktor Lashko, Minister of Health of Ukraine, we will go to Odessa, Dnipro, Poltava, and Kiev. And I'm also every day eagerly awaiting the assurance of a safe passage to Mariupol, because I'm very, very concerned about the situation in Mariupol. I deeply appreciate the recognition of the hard work of the Secretariat to hold the special session of the Regional Committee. We pulled it off in about 2 weeks, for the first time in 70 years, and I can assure you that this was incredible hard work. And I want to particularly thank here Mr. Steve Salomon and Madame Egli Granzera, who were with us, because without their legal advice would have been very, very difficult. I'm also very grateful that you have appreciated the Secretariat's safeguarding of the work on NCDs as you required of me. And this has been my top priority coming to the Regional Committee. At this stage, I would like to thank the work of the team at the WHO Secretariat, the work of my staff, both local and international staff of the NCD office, and my entire workforce, whom have worked tirelessly to meet your demands on us. I note very well the request from the Czech Republic on behalf of the EU to provide options, legal, financial, alternative sources of funding, human resource implications, with a concrete timeline, and making clear the political and financial consequences, while at the same time focus on safeguarding the NCD activities, because that's what I heard from everyone, that there can be no rupture in the work of the NCD office, which there have not been. As I noted in my initial intervention, and also Czechia, I fully intend to continue safeguarding the NCD work, keeping the Standing Committee for the Regional Committee fully abreast of our work and any decisions that I will make. I will continue to consult that body and bring to its December meeting, which will be open to all member states, options for the member states to consider. Thank you.
Thank you, Director General. Now, before we go for a break, I would give the floor to the Executive President for some remarks about the SCRC, please.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Donc, en effet, vu what we have done in view of the number of topics that we still have to deal with, I would suggest that we limit the lunch break and to be back at 1:15 already. We will then be moving on with the report of the SCRC and of the director, of the regional director, and we will then continue with the agenda items one by one. So this is my suggestion to allow us to finish our debates today within the time limits that we have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.